necessarily represent those of this station or its management.
It's a new day. Oh, it's a new time.
Good morning and welcome to Cover Your Assets. The gang is all here. We've got Todd Rooker, unbiased advice. We've got Derek Walgrave here, short sale and investment property specialist. And, of course, Mr. Craig Nestor, foreclosure defense.
In spite of 35E being closed, I'm here on time.
You made it.
You've never been late until you're late for live radio.
That's fun feeling, isn't it?
It's scary.
It's really. I worked with a guy one time who got pulled over by a cop, and there was dead air. He turned it on. He goes, "I'm supposed to be coming through on the other side." So that's a Tommy Mischke. You remember him, right? Yeah. So good morning, guys. How are y'all?
Good morning.
Very good.
Yeah, good morning. Todd didn't have to worry about it because he has a driver.
Yeah.
He comes in a limo every morning.
So guys,
Actually, I got a studio in the limo.
You're the
out
target every morning. What's
telling
going on?
Man.
well, anybody that looks that spiffy
Well, he
at
even
8
dressed
a.m.
down. He even dressed down this morning. So
He's got the perfect Nick Nolte happy hour look. I mean, open collar, jacket. He's even coming in with a fresh 5 o'clock stubble at 7:30 on a Saturday morning.
I did that because I didn't want to wear a tie for you guys. So I was trying to relax.
So besides throw each other under the bus, gentlemen, what do we do here at Cover Your Assets? We've got a unique mission at a unique time in our country's existence.
Well, the mortgage meltdown is not as a simple issue as we think.
Really?
And there's lots of complicated things in there, and there's no template answer. And it's not a one-size-fits-all solution, and we have to dig in with people and help them navigate a very unforgiving economy.
There's a lot of people who are involved in real estate who are in different areas of the situation. A lot of people, surprisingly, still do have equity in their homes.
Really?
And sure, there actually are. And for a lot of these folks who are looking at this situation from the outside looking in, they may be just wondering a bit about what all the hubbub is about because they don't have any of these problems and they just can't understand what's all going on. Even having said that, those people are still looking around and saying, good Lord, I certainly don't want to be in this situation. How do I ensure that I avoid this? I can't imagine that I'll ever be in that situation, which is frankly what everybody says when they are in the situation.
Yeah.
But they want to ensure that they're not. So that's one segment of the population that has to be serviced. And those things relate to asset protection and strategies to ensure that you avoid any type of financial crisis. Then you've got people who are watching it coming at them. They've got resources like savings accounts and retirement accounts that they're tapping, credit card accounts, trying to pay the bills on time. Haven't missed any payments, never expect that they will, but here we see the rocks coming up at us and we're utilizing resources to subsidize payments. And then we got the last segment who are already involved in the situation, and they're dealing with catastrophe planning.
And that's a lot of what you guys can help. And you're welcome to join us, by the way, live here at 855-835-8500. That number actually works after the show as well, 855-835-8500. And meet the team at coveryourassets21.com. Now, Todd, before we move over to Derek Walgrave, and I just want to ask you, how would you say that you and what you do, your consultation and service, is different than what we all know a financial planner does?
A financial planner is generally involved in the management of assets. Main thing to understand is that in everybody who's in business, they've got to make money being in business. And the idea that consumers have that nobody should be making any money on me, well, that's absurd because then there's no business and there's no reason why anybody's going to be helping. That's not meant to be mean-spirited. It just is what it is. So financial advisors on the whole are helping you manage assets that are already intact. And then, of course, the movement of assets generates a commission. Again, I don't see any problem with any of these things. It's just a perspective you've got to have. My job is to help people manage what they have, minimize damage, and have them more flow of cash to be able to invest in assets. So it comes down to day-by-day money management, which is very dissimilar from most financial advisors. It isn't to say they don't want to be involved in that. The problem is that unless you've got assets and unless they can afford to be involved in your situation, they're probably going to move on to somebody who does have assets to work with.
Perfect. Derek Walgrave, good morning.
Good morning. And let me touch on kind of what Todd's talking about, because I think that when we listen to the show, we don't want to misunderstand something about Todd. Todd is helping set people up to succeed in buying homes and being successful in their financial life right off the bat. So, I mean, we talk about some of the bleak things in the real estate market, but in the reality, there are some unbelievable opportunities in buying in this market. Buying distressed properties, buying into properties that have equity that maybe an entire neighborhood wouldn't have. And that's something that I think the message that we want to get across to the listeners is that we want to see people, when they're buying in this market, succeed in owning it home. And I think that's important that we're sending people to Todd so that, hey, you're ready to buy a home. Sit down with Todd. Know what your budget is. Know what your finances are, because this is a big investment, buying your home. And I think that's an important aspect that I want to touch on with Todd. That we're sending people to Todd not necessarily that are in a financial crisis. They want to manage their money, and they want to make sure that they're buying a home and it's the right thing to do.
Well, the game has changed. You don't have to be in a problem right now to understand that things have changed. There is a new now. And regardless of where you're at, if you've bought a house in the last 10 years, you are affected. You are affected one way or the other, either
Absolutely.
by yourself, your friends, your family, the co-workers, your employees. And look, people's homes are under attack. So what this group does, we are a triage of this economy. And we call it the fall and rise again. To fall and rise again of the American homeowner from wherever you're at. And there are some people that are in a more desperate need, and that conversation could be about a loan modification or a short sale or, heaven forbid, bankruptcy, and the distinctions of how does that used in a strategy if you're going to file anyway? How do we get you more time in the house to get a job? And then we have to get this family to a soft landing. We have to find a place where they can pay their own mortgage or pay someone else's, lick their wounds, rebuild their credit, and get themselves on a power budget so they are being in a position where they can take the opportunity. And then we have to make more money.
These two guys are showing you the vast contrast between the differences, right?
Yeah.
So bridging the gap between those is crucial. When Derek is talking about a person who doesn't have any financial problems, but they want to be able to walk into a home and ensure that they're not going to be in a compromised financial position, and Craig is talking about a person who is dealing with the financial crisis that they're already in. In the end, everybody wants to be left in a position where they're strong and stable. So whether they're in the first-time home buying arena and they want to ensure that they're not going to be putting themselves in a compromised position by taking on more home than they can actually afford, or they're already in a home whose value has decreased dramatically, their income has declined, they need to execute a strategy to get out of that home and move on and rebuild their lives. In the end, everybody always wants to be made whole and solvent and be able to manage their money when it's over. And that's, bridging that gap between those two things. That's what I do.
And that's a big deal. When you guys got together and decided that you wanted to put this program together and take what this team of people does to the air and explain it to things, there's a lot of passion with regard to what you guys do. And, Derek, the thing that really strikes me every week when we talk is that there is a way to make money on real estate and to get through all of this stuff. And that's what you guys really want to talk about.
Absolutely. And that's something that, we talk about the new now and buying into this in this market. From our perspective, when we bring clients into this market, we want to make sure that we're helping clients buy what they need, not necessarily what they want. And I think that
but I want it.
Right. Well, but that's true. I mean, and that's the mentality I think of Americans is this is what I want. Okay. Well, what do you need though? And I think that's important from our perspective. In representing a client, that we're educating them and saying, look, what do you need though? I mean, what does your family need? What do your finances look like? Let's make sure that it's not a rise and fall situation, but just a rise situation. That we're in a situation that you're buying a home and you're buying into a market that, hey, this neighborhood's been distressed, but hey, you're buying a distressed home and you're buying into equity. I mean, what better, there are opportunities like that. There are a lot of opportunities like that.
And I think a lot of people don't realize that. Wouldn't you agree that people are really surprised at how much information and ways to work the new now there are, Craig, right?
Well, that's why we have a guest, Heidi Pavelkas, here today from Rubicon Mortgage. We're going to give some under the hood X's and O's and how to execute a strategy inside the new now. I mean, that's why we're here.
That is why we're here. CoverYourAssets21.com is a great place to get started with the team. CoverYourAssets21.com. You can download a free copy of the Financial Crisis Bible, even if you're not in a crisis. A lot of great information in there. Get to know us a little bit better. 855-835-8500. This is Cover Your Assets.